How? Not. Welcome to Midweek Gaming, number 55. I'm not quite
Well,
sure.
we're off to a good start. We're off to a good start.
How?
I'm not quite sure. Welcome to Midweek Gaming, back once again, number 55. We are this time. We have a guest, AssassinLupa. How are you? It's been a long time. It has.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much for the invite, and
It's
looking
good.
forward
It's
to
been
the
a
show.
while.
She's
How
trying to
you doing,
remind
then?
herself how to use words and stuff. It's been a while, so she doesn't know how to talk. Yeah.
Have you been playing many games, Lupa, recently? And are you looking
Um,
forward to any games that are coming up?
yes, I've been playing some Valhalla, catching up on that because I'm looking forward
I
to Dawn of
noticed that.
Ragnarok,
Yeah, nice.
and started Dying Light 2. So, and I've been playing a couple of indie games I've been enjoying off Game Pass. So, just mixing it up a
Ooh.
little bit at a time
Played the
because I
gunk.
like my indies. So,
Have you
and
tried the gunk?
I completed the gunk a long time ago.
I
2
completed
days
that
after it was out.
recently. Very proud of myself.
Oh, you've actually completed a game, Stubbsy. Wow.
Yes,
We know.
yes,
We
it
That
is.
should have
smiled.
been that should have been flashed all over Twitter.
It was.
Oh,
Your game completion
Don't
rate
ask
is
me how-
legendary stuff, man.
Yeah, but don't ask
Yep.
me how long it took me. 9 hours.
well, seeing as I finished it like 2 days after it released, and you've only just finished it, I can tell how long it's taken.
Yeah, well, I didn't even start it then. I didn't. It's hoovering
Yeah.
up gunk. It's incredibly therapeutic.
Yes, very chill game. I had a couple of
It is.
glitches I wasn't very happy with. One of them being I did something that they wanted to do to 100% it and get an achievement, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd already done it. And when I
Oh,
got there,
no.
it was like, no, we don't exist. Sorry, you can't have the last achievement.
Wow.
I wasn't
Oh, no.
wasn't very good. And there was a
Well-
thing where some of the baddies glitched through the floor in the elevator, but I could just still see its horn, the charger ones. I could still see its horn, so I managed to dispatch them. And also, in one place, I cleared out all the gunk and killed the baddies, and ended up stuck in this hole where I couldn't get out, so I had to restart. But that was it. And other than that, it was a very good, enjoyable game. Chill.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
And the games I'm looking forward to are Plague's Tale Requiem.
Oh, yeah.
And Tiny Tina's Wonderland, 2 completely opposing games.
Well, it's nice to have variety. It is.
Of course. Try everything. If you don't like it, don't play it. If you do like it, wonderful. Fun for
Exactly.
everyone.
It is. It is. VJ, how are you
Oh, yes,
doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Well, it's good to have you. When you what's it called? What you been playing this week? What you been completed?
Oh my goodness, I was playing an indie game, Unpacking, so I finished that. I think, as Miss Lupa was saying, I haven't played the gunk, but I can appreciate what she means by, or what you meant as well. Actually, was being therapeutic. What else did I finish? I finished Call of
Yeah.
Duty Cold War, I think, and lo and behold, after about 3 months, Back for Blood campaign was completed with Masuka Killer Crown, of course, Removable Sanity.
Congratulations.
But deleting those 2 games, I was surprised how much, a great deal of hard disk space has been freed up. So I loaded up Res Evil 8. I'm playing that at the moment, and it's an astonishing game. But I got to say, it's like just coming off of playing Call of Duty and then playing RE8. It's I mean, if you're not in the games industry and you're not familiar with publishers and you just play, games for fun, pretty much everybody should, right? It's like I really can't tell the difference. It seems like the game, Call of Duty and Resident Evil 8 are made on exactly the same game engine. It's just that the way that they handle the visual effects, the physics, the rendering, ray tracing here and there thrown in for good measure. And like all the environments and how they're rendered and so on and so forth. I think RE8 just handles hair and fur a little bit better. But other than that, yeah, it's. I was like thinking, okay, both companies actually could switch the each other's products, right? In terms of or genres, right? In terms of what they're making. But yeah, it was pretty interesting. And what else did I play? Oh, I started playing Mighty Goose, and that's about it.
Nice. Been busy then, VJ. You have.
Yeah, I got some free time. I was really strange. So I play games either 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning till about 9 a.m. and then I'm busy, and then I get jump back on sometimes in the afternoon. So yeah.
Oh, it's all good. Removable Sanity. How are you doing?
Doing very well, thank you very much. Yes, much appreciated for having me back on again. For me, I've been doing another game review, another little indie review, and as VJ pointed out, we finally managed to get past the very last boss on Back for Blood with moderate to average swearing from me, so that's quite good.
Why you had to push on without me? You can't wait for me because I never play. I don't.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't think I swore that much this time. I think VJ will disagree with that. But
What's that?
my swearing on the last boss, I don't think it was that bad this time, was it?
No. This time it was actually aimed at the enemies in the game and not at your.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing, falling asleep.
Yeah, things like that doesn't actually exactly help. We were trying to get to the end, and there's Stubbs snoring away in the background, you know. But yeah, no, it was. Like I said, it's finally good to kind of complete that game. And then really, as I said, I've just been dealing with an indie game review to deal with. But yeah, overall, it's I've kind of been keeping an eye out on the news to see what's coming through. Of course, Dying Light 2 is now out, and I see everyone's thoroughly enjoying that. As a fan of the first one, I haven't got the second one yet, but I am looking forward to try and get it at some point. But knowing Techland, they will keep pushing and updating this game for years now.
They need
So
to. Right now, they need to
tried-
be.
Have you not tried CD keys, or have you not got enough? It's on there.
Just funds at the moment. Funds are certain things have broken or gone out the window. And I've had to just spend a lot more money on.
Sorry, what I mean is key mailer. It's on there. I don't know whether you qualify for it. It's on there.
I've placed in, but I'm a little bit of a too small a channel for such a element like that. But no, I have been hearing the odd things about the issues with Dying Light 2. But if you've played the first one, it sounds like they had a very similar sort of.
And if you've reviewed it 5 years ago.
Yeah, it sounds like to me that they've got a very similar sort of situation where they have the first one, where things didn't go exactly well, even with the first one. But as I said, knowing Techland's background of updating, tweaking, and pushing content out years beyond the game's original release, I have actually more faith in Techland than I do with anywhere else, that this will become a game that everyone will enjoy and bugs will be reduced to the bare minimum.
That's good to hear. That is. Thanks for popping Indie Gamer. He says that you're up against it tonight. Nintendo Direct on Jules. Now, Indie, if breaking news happens and they unveil Hollow Knight, you have to let us know.
Yeah. Looking forward to Silk Song.
Yeah. If it's on there, but yeah. I think Wandering Dutch has got Miles Dompier on, so there's a lot of shows on tonight. There is. But yes, good to hear Removable. I'm sure at some point you'll pick Dying Light up. You will.
Oh yes.
Cerebral, Paul, how are you doing?
Good. I am playing Dying Light 2. I have well over a day into it, probably almost 2 at this point. I will say that I'm seeing not a lot of game killing glitches, but a lot of visual glitches that really shouldn't have got past QA. I mean, they're not bad. Some of them are funny. I mean, it's like at one point, I'm watching the Invisible Man pour a glass of wine. I'm like, this is cool, but, and a lot like that. The characters like mesh together and talking to each other, even though they're all in the same exact spot. I mean, literally, but other than that, and there's definitely still, if I want to get into it real quick, just real quick, the accessibility stuff, there's still more they could have done because some of the platforming and stuff is just. I've been getting past it, but there are some parts that I'm not going to be able to. No way am I going to be able to 100% this game, at least by myself. It's going to be like the last one where I basically had to be carried through parts of the game because it was the only way I could do it. I was hoping they'd come up a little bit further. One of the topics we have, which we'll talk about later, is that us alpha skip ahead people can now set up our controllers to move the button assignments around. They need to do that. They need to do more of that in the games. Don't make us have to go outside of the game to accessorize our controller because every game is different. Which means I'll have to go back and change stuff around as needed per game at this point. Because I don't have a right now I no longer have a elite controller, which allowed 4 profiles and game profiles and all kinds of crap. So yeah, this is a game that could do well with a little bit more in the way of accessibility, but I'm still enjoying it. It's beautiful to look at, and some of the control changes when you get to them removable, you'll go, why did they move that? Yeah,
right, okay.
Yeah, a lot of us are doing a little bit of that. Why is that the jump button now? But
I think, as you said,
it's a great game.
I think, as you said about the actual tweaking of the mapping of the actual buttons, and that's we'll discuss that later. I am intrigued to know if they've done profiles, because that would pretty much resolve a lot of things. Ideally, you're right; it should be done in game, but is there no profiles?
Not that I know of. But I haven't really tweaked with the alpha skip ahead stuff, even though I am in the program, so I need to go sit down with that a bit and play with it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
Yep.
Animated Evil, how are you doing?
Hello, thanks for having me back yet again. Great to see the panel as usual. Lupa, welcome. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. What have I played this week? Well, I've basically started Minecraft Dungeons. I've been playing that on Twitch. Never played it before, but not normally my type of game, but very chilled out, like it. And I've started the second game in Mass Effect Legendary Edition. So that's been my week in gaming, I suppose. There you go.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, it's more than I've played. I've been watching wrestling again. I've got the network back. The older wrestling. But welcome, indie gamer, Goat Force Gaming. I've been watching your videos on Splunky 2. I've been trying to play that roguelike game, but I'm getting there. But it's a learning process with roguelikes. It is. Also, VJ as well. Who else is in there? Lupa's also in chat. Still miss no one. It's Timmy. Welcome.
Goat Force Gaming.
Goat Force Gaming. Welcome. First topic. I mean, you don't have to comment on this one. It's not really we've got loads to talk about. It's not really. It basically Nintendo Switch has sold 103.54 million units. As of December 31st, 2021, which is very impressive. I don't know if anyone wants to... I don't really know if anyone... It's a very impressive number. If anyone wants to jump in on that, I did put it as a topic, but I don't know if there's a lot to say, really, apart from it's impressive.
Yeah.
Congratulations. It was obvious that would happen because they grabbed the COVID market when everybody was off. So that was a big push for their... I
think in the end it would be the.
After you.
I think in the end. Sorry, I think in the end it will be the greatest selling thing in the world. As in, it will overtake PS2 and everything in the end.
See, don't forget, it's worth remembering. It's their best-selling home console. It still hasn't outsold the DS yet. So
that's true. Home console. Sorry, yes, home console. That's
it is.
I
had to actually reread the article kind of thing to notice that.
It clickbaits you in the headline. I know.
Yeah,
I didn't go with the headline.
But the thing is, you got to remember it's both a home console and a portable. So they're cornering both markets at the same time, and I think that's why it's been so successful.
It is, because normally how they move hardware is, like they have a lot of these, like say Zelda or Pokemon, and they just go and release a special edition Pokemon, a Switch or something, and then they go, oh wow, they sell loads more. But Nintendo know exactly what they're doing, and they're masters at it.
What was the question?
Just how impressive the numbers are, VJ, of Nintendo Switch sales.
What happened? Oh, sorry, I think I missed I must have missed this topic completely. Oh, is it?
No, it's just the fact that they have sold. Just get down.
They've
sold
outsold
100.
the Wii, which is big for Nintendo.
103 million units sold now.
I was going to say I thought the Virtual Boy outsold the Wii U, but I think I've always got
probably outsold it.
I think I know that Nintendo, like they've been around for so many years, and like sometimes they do cause me, well, I suppose they cause many people, right, a little irritation sometimes in terms of their methods and sort of consumer practices, especially like their ability to recycle old games and sell them as new again. But it's incredible, because I think I don't know what show I was on, and it wasn't that long ago, but I remember having to go to the Nintendo site. I don't know if it was for some personal research, but I think what's far more impressive than the 100 million consoles that they sold is that their ability to sell first-party games in tens of millions, and I think there were like over 250 million units. That tie ratio to first party, just first party games, not even second party, and their ability to sell those games almost full price. And very rarely do you see, well, I can only speak for the States, but very rarely do you see a $60 game below $40 or $45 even on Amazon. It's actually quite phenomenal, and I think was it a week or two ago that I think it might have gone under the radar because no one talked about it. With Tencent now partnering with Nintendo to launch the Switch in China, and I think it'll do okay. They're partnering with Tencent over there, and because they'll be able to navigate all the legal requirements, right? And the government.
Yeah, they'd have to have a hacked version of that, wouldn't they? Because children are only allowed to play on games machines for 3 hours a day, so they'd have to have cameras switched on so the government are looking.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the thing is they put these regulations. They basically to enforce something like that is really difficult. Right.
Oh, I agree.
Obviously, Tencent, and remember, Tencent, I think we talked about it on this show, right? In terms of like for 2 quarters running, they gave their 2 quarters worth of profit over back to the government. Was it with you? I was talking to you about that Removable a while ago.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, because I was interested in seeing how much what the government was making out of the gaming industry, and as Tencent is pretty much one of the biggest elements of the gaming industry over there, it was like, well, and I think you actually said exactly that is that they do put over like half, and I was like, well, that's a lot of money.
It was like 6 or 7 months ago we discussed that, and the thing is, all corporations in China, it doesn't matter who the front-facing person is, or the CEO, or the managing board, etc. But is it I don't know if the right word is de facto, but the de facto ownership is the government's, right? So it doesn't matter what you own; it all belongs to the state, no matter what you achieve. And
isn't the CEO of Tencent a minister within the Chinese government?
I don't know. I'm not that intimate.
That's what I believe to be true.
If you've been out to lunch with him, then you'd probably know better than me. But I'm not sure if he's been in your neck of the woods. But the thing is that launching in China, everybody thinks it's the holy grail. It's not. There's some revenue to be generated there, and I'm not talking about video games. I'm talking about all industries, right? Because everybody thinks that China, well, the way China advertise it, they have like 1.2 billion, right, in terms of population. But if you've been to China and you talk to people within China, the actual number is probably more around 800 million people. And I think over 50% of those people probably still live a very much of an agricultural lifestyle, and their take homes, I mean, I've been around China quite a bit, is no more than I'd be loath to say more than 120 to 150 quid a month in terms of the average sort of monthly salary, right, for a household. So it's not as lucrative as people think, right? The money, like in America, it's very, very concentrated in terms of in the hands of the opulent, you know. And but China, just a slightly different civilization, right? They market the fact that they want to reduce the gap, right, between the opulent and those that, well, basically reduce inequality, really, where America's set up to keep it as divided as possible. But I think we're going off topic now, so let's talk about something else.
Very good points, VJ. But I'll add in there, Microsoft have got a mobile partnership with Tencent. I don't quite know what they're doing, but they're up to something in China. They are, but some good points out. Don't anyone else want to jump in on that? It's not really
it is a good topic.
I'm not a Nintendo person. You know,
I think
we'll go a long time. So
I think we'll go with that. We're going to go with that topic Paul was referring to about the controller. The RemovableSanity pointed me in the direction of. I can read it out, but you two may be able to explain it far greater than me.
Well, I'm going to leave this to the expert here, which is Mr. Cerebral Paul, as he will probably have a much more in-depth knowledge of the inner workings than myself. I just definitely keep an eye on these little things, you know.
Well, I really haven't followed up on the current iteration. I know that we've had the ability to some extent, control or manage what the buttons do. It was to me, it's always was more programmable with the Elite controller, and I guess they've now given that ability, or will be giving that ability, because right now it's an alpha skip ahead to the general controllers as well, where you can remap some of the buttons and change how they react in a bit. Like I said, a lot of that, some of that is needed. Hopefully they'll set up, like I said, I haven't seen the current iteration. I'm not even sure if my Xbox has it yet. If it doesn't, it will within the next day or two. In fact, I could probably look at that right now.
It's going to be on the Elite Series 2 paddles. Xbox
they've had that for a while, actually.
Oh,
the Elites have had it. Yeah, the Elites have had it for quite a while.
Yeah.
So give me a second, and
I have got here, so I can read them if people want.
Yeah, go ahead. Read the article itself and see what it says.
So, the Alpha Insiders, you can now use the Xbox Accessories app to map your Xbox Series X/S controller's share button. Press, hold, and double tap to a wide range of custom actions, including quick settings and accessibility options. Other options include, but are not limited to, media and volume controls, send a message, see achievements, see friends, and toggles for high contrast, night mode, color filters, narrator, and magnifier. It also says the new accessibility toggles will also be available to the buttons that were previously configurable, with extra actions like the for Elite Series 2 paddles, which Paul said was already available, and Xbox adaptive controller input, and the chat pads for the X1 and X2 buttons, whatever that is. I don't know.
Right. So it sounds like sounds like, to me anyway, it sounds like they're giving a little more flexibility to the adaptive controller, which will be nice. But it doesn't sound like it's still going to do some of the actual remapping that I would need, like in Dying Light 2, and some other games.
It is a shame, because you assume that would be, which is strange, because some controllers, like one of the wired, I think it was a controller, it came with its auto in the application itself. You could actually remap all the buttons. So I'm kind of surprised this is still lacking, and it also came with this was 2018 when I think it's one of the actual illuminate. You know, those controllers that illuminating had multiple thousand RGB lights on it. You could have profiles set up,
Right.
and I am surprised that isn't implemented already as a basic function. You know, so it's like right.
It is.
Is it?
When they released the Elite, because they had to give you the.
No, I mean for general controllers, not.
No, hang on. When they released the Elite version 1, there you could remap your buttons. The same program worked on every controller. I remember remapping my Xbox Day 1 edition. It's in the where's the setting in Xbox accessories. So you can remap the buttons. I think what this article says is there's actually more options to remap than what to.
Yeah, I'd have to see how they changed it because they keep messing with those settings and they keep changing stuff, and it's like
Does that include profiles?
I'm not sure if you can profile a different controller because you'd have to go in to select it. Whereas the Elites have got the profile button, so you would have to change it, and that's what's missing off the older controllers. You couldn't select which. You've got no profile button, have you? Unless you chose to nominate a profile button.
Yeah, no, the way I was thinking of it, and again, maybe I'm being immensely stupid here. I was just assuming that generally, with the tweak of the select button, you could go into your, and choose a COD profile, hack and slash profile, which you've set up,
no, there was never anything
platform
like that.
profile.
It was like profile 1, 2, 3, and 4, if I recall correctly.
Oh, okay.
And so. Yeah, there's no per game profile set up in those settings, which is really kind of annoying on many levels, because it would be nice because there are other programs that allowed you to do that, but they weren't on Xbox. That you could say, hey, I'm playing this game, so I want the controller to act this way. I'm playing this game, I want the controller to act this way.
Well, I was trying to think of what it was again. I apologise, but I do remember one of the controllers I had. You could actually map multiple different profiles, and just simply by tweaking it, flick it over to I'm going to play a platformer. Flick it over to my platformer profile that I've used. I'm going to play a fighting game.
I think it was some of the old third-party controllers that we used to be able to get our hands on.
Yes,
that kind of stuff.
That's right. It's really annoying. It is. It's one of these. It was these RGB controllers I had, and it was really good for that sort of thing. And that was way back in 2017, 2018. So as I said, I'm just kind of surprised.
Yeah.
This basic function. And again, I'm assuming this is a basic function. I'm not very, I'm not skilled in this, but I'm assuming this is something that would be great for you. If that, even just that, would be great. And also, then it would probably be beneficial or at least helpful for games that haven't added that option in on their settings, like Dying Light 2.
Yep. I'm of the opinion, and I could be, booed out of the building, but I think every game at this point in history should have those things. So, we've come so far, but there's little things like that aren't there yet, and they really should be. I'm sorry, they really should be.
No, they should be. Yes, I think that option would be a good thing, maybe for the more. And the trouble is, we've spoken to some indie devs now who said they can do these things as well, and they are looking into doing these things. But it's at least there's a secondary option there. Should it not be done? Maybe for the older games, where you could,
right, and some of the older games it can be because we've seen them add, different gaming profiles for even the Halo games in the Master Chief Collection.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
So why it's not I may actually message because I do have contacts with a couple of the people.
I was about to say
the accessibility side of Xbox and say, why isn't this on the list of here's what we expect to see in your game, as far as accessibility goes? Because to me, and
maybe even just Xbox in general, if they could maybe add the profile option into the actual accessibility options.
Well,
that would be helpful.
That would be helpful, but what it is too is they actually have a list, and I'll have to dig it up one day and share it with you guys in the DM. They actually have a list of here's what we expect. Put as many of these things in your game as you can. Here's our list here's our wish list of accessibility, because this game is also lacking in for the sighted. Blind players can't play this game right now. There's no way. because just like with the Destiny menus, there's no
Yep.
indicator of where they are on the screen because of the way the menus work.
Is there a preference in that list? Is there like, this is what we expect at tier 1s, tier 2, tier 3?
It's been a
Or
while
is it just
since I've
simply a
seen it.
list of just like, can you try and at least accomplish some of these things?
It's a list, and I believe some of them are required, and some of them are a wish list.
Okay.
And like I've said before, some of it's because some of it has to be put in from the ground up.
Yes.
You can add stuff later, but it goes much easier if they can just if they start from the ground up and going, we expect the game to be able to do X, Y, Z, and there it is. Yeah.
And in fairness, speaking to some of the indie devs now, we're seeing that happen from the indie devs. So
Right.
people like Techland, as much as I said, I do have a soft spot for from them, keeping doing these sort of things. It should have been in there a little bit earlier, unless of course there's a huge bug. I don't know.
I'm like I said, I'm seeing a crap load of graphical issues that really shouldn't have made it past QA. Seriously, I mean, there's no way they didn't run into them.
Again, you kind of wonder whether this has been a we need to hit a particular deadline. Let's get it out.
Well, and the other okay, to be fair, the other side of it is in fixing 3 bugs, they may have created 6 more.
Yes, exactly that. What was it? The patch went over to 1,000 bugs.
They
predominantly fixed.
The day 1 patch was over 1,000 bugs corrected. Yes,
that is impressive at any level.
Yeah.
With regards to Xbox, I mean, I don't know if this used to be more prevalent years ago, but does Xbox do a certification to make sure these games ain't going to break?
No, they still do.
Consoles with bugs.
Yeah, they still do certifications.
They must miss it then, clearly.
They have to be certified before they can be released on the console.
You need to ring them and say, how did you miss all this?
Yeah. Well, these graphical glitches, yeah, they're outside my purview. There's no way they don't know they're there. I know the company knows they're there. I'm getting ready to see if I can pull up the old videos again and put together a montage and go, here's a list of shit you need to fix.
Okay.
Yeah,
That is
a
bad.
lot of them. There's a lot of them. Like I said, most of them are funny because they don't affect gameplay. They're
That's
just
good, then.
sloppy programming,
And this is after the day 1 patch. Am I correct?
Oh yeah. Oh, this was yesterday. Last night I ran into like 7 of them. Just cutscene after cutscene after cutscene, going, this looks like what's his name in The Invisible Man,
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's ideally it should never be accepted, but to be honest with you, with the industry going, it is day 1 patches, day 2 patches, day 3 patches are becoming just so much of the norm now. I'm like, I'm kind of reserved the fact this is just going to be the part of the normal process. As much as I hate it.
Well, here's
just
my thing, and I've said this on other shows. I think it was other shows. I expect it with the multiplayer aspect because they never know what they're going to get till they're under full load. With the single player aspect and the story stuff, some of this stuff shouldn't be being missed because it's really obvious.
That kind of sounds to me that
either they don't have a QA department, which is totally possible, or it's a very small QA department, or they just
or that's a deadline that they really, really could not miss.
Right. So I don't know, but yeah, like I said, none of it's game killing, but it is annoying, and funny in many cases.
Fair enough. If anyone wants to jump in on the controller bit, they can, but they don't have to.
Yeah.
Well, I would say that as someone who's also in the EF Insider, I think I'm literally, and I don't know about you, Paul, we get the amount of surveys we get regarding accessibility, they have definitely ramped it up in the last 6 months.
Okay.
Every other week, I think there is an accessibility survey they go out to. In some cases, almost every week.
Maybe
And it
they've
rained.
stopped talking to me. Maybe they've stopped talking to me. I haven't got any surveys.
Well, no. I mean, I'm literally. I think some of the surveys that I've been seeing, or at least in the last month, it's anything from contrasting to text to size of text to button mapping. They are. I mean, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of surveys being coming through.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that filters in through the process, but I must admit, in the last 6 months, I would say this time last year, it was probably once a month, and then literally before Christmas, it was literally it felt like every other week there was another particular accessibility survey.
Yeah.
So maybe they ramp up for certain periods of the year. It's like, right, let's really focus heavily on this aspect, and then it slowly dies down again. But it was definitely, I was like, wow.
They also may be hitting certain parts of the population. They don't hit us all at once.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, and again, maybe it's also country based.
Yeah,
maybe they go through America first, then they go through and ask the other European countries afterwards, sort of thing. It's but it did give me hope. The questions they were asking was very in depth. It did give me hope that you could tell they were really were intrigued and requesting information on almost every aspect from an accessibility options. So, if anything, it does give me hope that whilst it may not be perfect right now, clearly they are pushing it. As a general ethos.
Like I said, this is a new enough game, though, that I would have thought they would have moved past some of the stuff I'm seeing, as far as accessibility goes.
Yeah, well, that I think that lies down generally to the developers and the publisher itself.
One of the biggest ones I'd like to see in games like this, and they did it in, is after you try something multiple times, like 5 times or whatever, it says, hey, do you want to skip this part and be able to get on with the story? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I think every game like this should have that option. Because, if you want us to enjoy the story, we have to be able to play the game to some extent.
I think I can't remember what it's called.
And it's beyond story mode. It's a matter of, what, okay, story mode is fine for fighting, but if you're using all this weird stuff for,
other games have used it, haven't they? Mm. If you're struggling, they can actually.
Yeah, it doesn't do me any good.
Especially on a platformer.
Right. Well, especially in this game, because you remember the first game, there was some parts that were just stupid difficult.
Yeah, I think there is still some bits in this. I think there's some challenges and aspects which I think you're probably gonna get up struggling with. Time parkour is going to be, I think, some certain tweaks in it. I think they had
time parkour is definitely a thing in this game, by the way.
I think those are going to be tweaking.
You have 3 minutes to get from point A to point B, and they're not easy to get to. Congratulations. It's like, you're a pain in the ass.
I don't think a lot of people know that you can map your Nintendo Pro controller to Xbox controls.
Nice.
I have a lot of people saying they can't get used to it, and I'm like, well, I can't play it any other way. I'm so used to Xbox that when I go back onto my Nintendo Pro controller, I keep pressing B to go back instead of A to jump. So, they changed that last year, that you can now map your controller on the Nintendo Switch. So that's really good thing.
Nice.
That is good thing.
Fantastic.
And Indie Gamers just delivered the devastating news. There's no Silk Song news.
Oh, you're joking. I really thought we'd get some news at least.
Nothing, he said.
All they're telling you
is
E3.
E3.
New Mario game coming out again.
Be fair with Silk Song, it has that prestige. It could be on an E3 stage, to be fair.
Easily.
But on Nintendo at E3, because generally Team Cherry do announce their games via Nintendo.
Yeah, they do.
But,
are we getting an E3 at all? I thought they canceled E3 outright this year.
I suspect, to be honest with you, depending on the situations per country in terms of is COVID going to be reduced, is lockdown going to be kind of stopped? That I think that will depend. I think it'll probably one of these things will be either depend on how America is in April.
Bring it here. I'm joking.
You never know, but I'm just saying, April will know if you guys in America are still having lockdowns and still, I think no chance, but maybe if it's a reversal,
Right.
who knows? Because I think, to be honest with you, that could be. I think so many people after the COVID situation will want to escape their homes and get out. I think, if anything, it could help the resurgence of these live events. Because so many people are like, I want to get out of my house. Let's go somewhere.
The problem is, I live like in sort of in the larger part of LA County sort of thing. But sorry, just outside Greater Los Angeles. So, but even though Orange County and other areas where sort of the requirement for masks is being dropped, where the E3 is traditionally held towards near the Staples Center, the governor or the state is insisting that Los Angeles and LA County remain with masks. They're just still keeping a very, very strict mandate on masks and due to COVID. So where are we? We're in February now. I'm with Paul. California's. There's a lot of good things going for it, but some of the people that operate the state, there's some question marks there. They fucking put it politely. Paul,
BJ swore.
Huh?
Wow.
No, I don't swear.
Do you think? But you never know what it could. As I said, by April, it could change.
No. The problem is removable, right? I've done a few shows, and to the actual preparation for a show, right? The logistics of it, the design of it, and getting content prepared for it. I mean, it's going to be really, really difficult. There's just thousands and thousands of people involved, and that's just for the setup of the show, right? And then and all the people that set up the stand, and then you've got the hotels as well, and the restaurants.
But surely, wouldn't that be a resurgence, a boom to the area in question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Phil says he starts on the next one when he finishes that year. So it takes a year. So if they haven't got a year, they're not going to do it. But I think the digital way they went last year was good, and I really enjoyed it. So hopefully it'll be.
I don't think E3's needed anymore.
No, and it's not just that.
I love it.
It's like most.
No, sorry. Let me re-explain it, Lupa. They have a Microsoft Hall already, so do their own thing and just E3 off. We don't need them.
Well, the thing is that for most gamers, it's not about the show per se. It's about learning what new tech's coming, what new games are coming, what's happening in the world of gaming. And I think for most of us, it's our Christmas, and we love it. So I think I don't want it to go away. I like it being digital. I mean, they've told us in this country to drop Plan B, but no way. There's no way my husband's going out of this house without gloves and a mask on ever again, because it's never going to go back to the way it was. This is our new norm. So, in my opinion, stick with the digital. I mean, Xbox's show last year was phenomenal, and some of the others need to pick it up, but I still like to see Nintendo there. The others sort of apart from that indie one. Oh goodness, I always remember the name.
EGX Res.
No.
Let me say something really quick.
D1. Oh. Yeah. The indie one was really, really good, but other than that, Ubisoft showing and a couple of the others were pretty poor. But I still like it, and I would like it to stay.
Let me say something really quick too. Well, they could just do their own show. I think that's fine if you only want to preach to the choir. I think they need to do these big shows. That way you have an audience outside of your known audience, or else what good is it? You're just preaching to the fan base. These shows should be bigger than that. like how many of us, like, I will sometimes watch a Sony State of Play, but oftentimes I won't
Yep.
because I'm not currently in the Sony ecosystem, at least not with any want or need. But if it was part of a bigger show, I would probably catch what they were showing just because, hey, there they are.
Yeah.
But if everybody has their individual show, I'm going to miss a lot of stuff because I don't care enough to watch everybody's little individual show.
Yeah, that's my point as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I did a few. I did an indie one with Indie Gamer and did Watch Packs and EXG, and but I catch the state of plays just when somebody streamed them. Usually, Jaw Raptors streams it, and I'll watch it with them because it's interesting to know what they're doing. I always catch, usually, apart from today, the Nintendo Switch thingies, and but like with E3, it's all around that area, and you can check them out. But I do prefer it when they're all under one roof, and you can go there, like Nintendo Treehouse sort of thing and
Right.
stuff. So, because like originally I wasn't like continually gaming, a hardcore gamer as you'd call it. I was a casual gamer when I had children, and then when my children left home, I became a hardcore gamer. It became my life. So yeah, I'm of the mind what Paul said is so true, because back then I would have missed stuff if it wasn't all together. So
I think.
Oh, you've got good points. You have.
I was just going to say, just to be fair to Removable, I totally agree with him that there's an economic upturn or economic respite needed for a lot of independent stores and hotels and so on and so forth in and around LA, because it's suffering at the moment. But you only have to. I think it was the CES in January that was live, and there was about 40 or 50,000 people attended. It was on the news over here, but I just don't know. As Paul and Assassin was saying, is that the value of doing the show here and having sort of private events sort of at cross purpose. I think since it's gotten digital, the difference that I've seen is that the consumer, as Paul was saying, reaching a far larger audience at the same time. There's none of these like private events that you may or may not miss or may or may not be privy to, and having these horrendous queues where people are queuing up just to get a glimpse of the next big game, and everybody gets to see it at the same time, unless you're in England, because obviously they cater for Asia and America, and in England, it's 2:00 in the morning. So unless you miss Lupa, right, you don't sleep, and animated, I guess, as well. So yeah, I think that the benefit to reaching a far wider audience, as Paul was saying, is having an all digital show is that everyone can enjoy it. But I completely agree with Removable Sanity, because you do hear, especially in LA, movie companies seem to get so much leeway because they tick all the boxes and then they follow the rules more accurately than all the local independent stores that can't open for business, and they're effectively going out of business, having to shut down. So it would give some economic respite to a lot of people, but I just don't know. I just don't understand the way that the governor and his team run the state of California. It's let's just put it this way: it's a bit iffy from where I'm standing. But then again, we've got Boris Johnson, so we can't really speak, can we?
Mm-hmm.
And they've got Daffy.
I'm not going to speak on any of this because this podcast will probably get deleted.
No, go on, Stubbs. Come on, Stubbs. Come on, wake us all up.
Crying about Joe Rogan, so I'm not going to start. I'm not. So I'm not getting involved.
You can keep it gaming and not political. Is that what we're going to go for?
Yeah, I'm not getting into that because
is this your preamble, Stubbs? I'm not going to start before you actually start.
I think. In comeback to VJs, I think even if they did a combination, they could do maybe a lightweight version. I think something in the physical space, if things start to ease off, regardless of where you are, if it starts to ease off, you could still do the digital, but you could also still have a show as well. There could be a combination of things to be done. I still think sometimes, I think there's still maybe a little bit of a thirst for live access shows. As you said, the hour-long queues, they're not great. We know that. But to be honest with you, catching up with your mates at one of these events, catching up with your favorite dev, or in some cases the indie devs, it was priceless. it's just an experience that you're like, oh. And as you said, it was some people. It was a gamer's nirvana. It was like, I'm off this year again to meet up with my group of friends, and we're just going to sit around and have a few games, have a few plays. So I think I really hope it doesn't go. I would really like it to keep going as some sort of live event, even if it's a lightweight version, and keep the digital. Try and do both, maybe.
Removable. I was just going to say there, right? So for business and for business opportunities and networking opportunities, and it was for me, it was a phenomenal opportunity to be able to go to all these different shows. And I think that for the industry, people that are in the industry, especially indie game developers. So when is the? Be really interesting to see if the game dev show goes ahead. Is it in March? The Develop GDC conference. Because that part of it, they could cover, right? A GDC, right? And publishers and developers and meeting each other and so on.
Possibly.
But I would say that would be quite critical, right? Especially for up and coming, like you're saying, indie games that normally sort of not on the main show floor, but they're in a show space just off of the main hall, where indies can actually afford to exhibit their product, like you're saying, on a TV screen, etc. It's on a pod, where the games might get picked up by a publisher, and it's really different meeting someone in person and developing that relationship and an opportunity for yourself, rather than just sending your code, online and hoping that a producer somewhere will play it and then present it at the next board meeting, right? So I'm with you there, but hopefully GDC goes ahead and those sorts of opportunities don't go away.
Indie Gamer said GDC is on. Yeah.
Yeah, it is at the moment.
It's Silksong.
Keep our fingers crossed.
Sorry, Miss Lupa, go ahead.
No, I just said fingers crossed it stays that way.
Yeah.
Who knows what state America's in? The right state the country's in.
Don't you start on me and Paul.
It's hard though. The country's massive.
It's funny.
It's not like it's quite small compared to England. It is.
Me and VJ live in states that are diametrically opposed to the way where both states are handling the virus.
You both probably live in states bigger than bloody England. Do you know what I mean?
It's not difficult.
Well, but I mean, but he lived in a state where the governor's doing one thing, and I live in a state where the governor's doing the complete opposite. Yeah, it's really interesting to see the differences between the way our two sides are, two states are.
We have the same thing over here with Wales, Scotland, and England. So
absolutely.
But I was going to say one thing nice about it going digital is last year was the first year I was actually given press credentials to E3.
I got E3 press credentials. I think they were giving them out like sweeties.
Thanks. That's it. There's old Cerebral feeling really proud of himself, and Stubbs has to put the hammer right in there.
What I'm saying,
it wasn't meant that way.
But I actually used mine and did some stuff and did some early, coverage and stuff like that. And that was to me that may have been the way in for when they do go physical again, when they do go in person. Well, he's already been, cleared.
Exactly. Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Right. He's already taken parts, so let's go ahead and get him in. Plus, now that I'm tied with 4GQ TV, I may have press credentials to access anyway. So, and and I don't just do it. I actually do it to try to get stories or coverage or talk to some of the devs, which I did last year. And mostly about accessibility and things like that. And, so I saw it as a door being opened for me anyway,
Indeed, yeah.
Good.
So Removable, you know Stubbs San as well as I do. He did mean it that way.
He did, yes, he did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. we all know Stubbs can be an ass. We've been in the end with him.
Yeah.
Really
a lot of the time, it's just best to ignore it, and they do. No one says
you'll notice a lot of times we do just ignore it. Yeah, there goes Stubbs again. Nobody responds.
Then I say, just ignore me.
Rant over, I think, is one of the most common tweets we get in the DMs.
You I can see the DMs me and Ruval have.
Oh yes. I tried to placate him before he hits the podcast DMs.
You give him a brown paper bag to blow in and out of.
Bless.
No, that was a fun talk. That was. So there's been a lot of press recently about a game I want to play called Sifu.
Gears.
No, don't. Not until 6 comes out or something else. Sifu for the PS4, PS5. It's also on PC. It was made by Slow Clap and it was released on the 8th of February this year. Now, this is like a roguelike fighting game. Looks very incredible. But there's been a lot of bias. It's just an indie game with 5 levels. And the bias is unreal. I've seen the same bias for Returnal. It's a good game. From what I've been told of, Luke Steele highly rates it.
Yeah.
And 5 levels is slightly misleading when you've got a rogue game because it can take you a lot longer. 5 levels sounds, I'll do that in an hour. It can take you a lot longer. It's like some of the games, what's it called? Go Force Gaming plays a lot of roguelikes.
Hades.
Hades was never criticised. 4 levels. It can take you so many. I'm not saying I don't know how long Sifu takes, but the people moaning about there's only 5 levels could take you 100 hours, 50 hours. I don't actually know, but it's not represent. It doesn't represent how long the game's going to take to complete. And the people I see moaning predominantly, I think, will never want to play the Sifu game, and I think it's more they're trying to gain clout on Twitter for slagging it off. And it's all to do with bloody exclusivity or a limited time exclusive. And that's my opinion on why people are doing that. These are people that won't want to play the game, and it's just a bit of fun on Twitter or on making videos about it. The game looks incredible. Sifu. If I had 30 quid, I'd go and buy it. I would. But if you've got a PC, it's $16. It is. It's much cheaper on PC, Epic Games. And he's receiving criticism. I can't say for the game, I've not played it. It looks great. But the criticism has seen it's got 5 levels, but they don't understand it's like a rogue fighting game. It's not as simple as it sounds. So, does anyone want to jump in on this?
I have watched it being played, streamed, and it looks lovely. And I can see where people are coming from because it's the aging mechanic in it is very clever. However many people are attacking you, and if you lose them, then you lose that many years.
Yeah.
And you have to start. And the roguelike feature of it is the selling part of it, because obviously you have to start again. But I expected you to have to start again from the beginning. And that's my criticism. If you died within these 5 levels, I expected you to start again at the beginning, but you don't. You start where you died.
Oh, okay.
Which is that does make it very short, Stubbsy, because you can just carry on from where you died, and then, but it looks very well made and it looks very good. I get that. And obviously I haven't actually played it myself, so I don't know how the controls play, but I have watched 2 or 3, I think it was Radbrad and a couple of other people stream it and play it, and it looked good fun, although slightly repetitive in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, only 5 levels, that's pretty short. For the fact, if you died and you started back at the beginning, I can understand. But dying and starting where you died doesn't make sense in that situation with only so few levels.
From what I've seen in reviews and stuff, I mean, I agree with you. It looks brilliant. I like the whole detective board thing and stuff, and that was really, really good. But when you die, if you die the first time, you lose a life. The second time, you lose 2 lives. And then if you die like a third, it's 3. But once you get to 7, it adds that many years. If you've died 3 times and you die again, that you get that many years added onto your life up to an age of 79 and you're dead. But most roguelikes, you have a chance to level up. So if you start again, you actually get things where you can make yourself stronger and level up. It doesn't do this. So you don't gain more tools, anything like that. So you just have to have another go at the fight. Most roguelikes, you do get a bit of a bonus and say, okay, you died, let's try again from the beginning. So to start again from the beginning and not be allowed to die again, that would be a bit of a punishment too far, I think. But you are right, and I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's not a game I've played. We've not been a PS guy, or a PC guy. But it does look good, and I can see some of the issues that people have. The review I watched, he said it took him to get through the first time. Took him about 10 hours, I think. But there's possibility for the better gamer out there. If you can fend off all deaths, it will be just a couple of hours long.
You've got to be really good at the game though to do that.
Go ahead, Removal. Go ahead, Removal.
I was about to say then. So is this because and again I haven't played the game. I don't own it, so I'm guessing really from Animated's Stubbs and AssassinLupa's input here. Are we saying that the criticism is a personal preference? Because as you said, if it takes one person 10 hours, they may find this is actually quite a good amount of time. But if it takes someone else with a better skill set 4 hours, they might find it's more of a deem it a little bit too easy. Is this due to the pricing point? Because obviously pricing point does play a big factor into it. Or is it simply down to that the vast majority are finding it a bit too easy? And this is to anybody of the three.
And some will be finding it too hard as well.
Yeah, some will be finding it too hard.
I'm not admitting it.
And some will find it too easy, but it's very short for £33. Or is it pounds or dollars, Stubbs? I think it's pounds, isn't it?
$32.99 on the PlayStation Store.
£33.
But if you go on the Epic Store, it's $16. So what, £12?
That's a massive difference, and I don't understand. Well, that's PlayStation all over, isn't it? Bloody rob the money out of your pocket. As look at you.
Well, in terms of pricing, then I would say this is an individual person's taste because, and again, this is just my opinion from someone that doesn't know, is one person's £33 at 20 or 15 hours or even 5 hours is worth it versus one person's £16 at 500 hours may be deemed not worth it. It sounds like it's a very much a personal preference.
Yeah, if you like roguelikes or you don't. I mean, that's simply it, and people don't get that. But it is very repetitive in the sense of the way you fight and how you're fighting. You pick up items to hit people with that you find in the environment, or you take off them. But like basically, it's kung fu. That's what it is. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the game. I think the thing is the people playing it. It's not their type of game, or they weren't expecting it to be as it is. Probably expecting it to be more like Ninja or something. Yeah.
What has the developer said about this? I'm assuming this is being designed with his ethos and his premise. This very element this is the reasoning why he's designed it like these aspects is it hits all his aspects and creations. This is one of the reasons it is, or has he said actually we got it out a little bit too early and we're going to add more to it? Has the developer made any comment whatsoever? Do we know?
Well, I haven't seen anything
I think
that he said no. It's Slowcat. Slowcat made it, but I haven't seen anything from them to say.
I don't think they need to. That's what they made, and that's it.
No, the reason I asked that is that sometimes, as a development team, again, it's just sometimes
post-launch content there is. I've just looked it up. It
Yep.
says, earlier today, developer Slowcat released Sifu on PlayStation, consoles and PC. While the game hasn't been around very long, some fans might already be curious about its future. In an interview with Gaming Bolt, Slowcat marketing manager Felix, was asked about the possibility of DLC and whether or not the game will receive some kind of multiplayer mode. Garzanski, I think that's right, confirmed that there are early plans for DLC, but fans can expect Sifu to remain a strictly single-player affair. Garzanski implies that Slowcap's smaller size necessitated a focus on the single-player experience. Sifu will remain single-player only, told Gaming Bolt. We are an independent studio with limited means. We wanted the team to focus on creating an immersive and distinctive single-player experience. We do have additional content planned for post-launch, though. Unfortunately, Garzanski did not offer any specific idea what players can expect to see as far as the post-launch content is concerned. Even without the possibility of multiplayer, there are a lot of interesting things that Slowcat could add to the game. Slowcat has also revealed that post-launch DLC will be available for free, which is even better news. For those unfamiliar with the game, Sifu is a third-person beat-em-up and inspired by Kung Fu films, and apparently they've made it easier to understand Kung Fu. Puts the player in the role of a 20-year-old martial arts seeking revenge on the men that killed his father. Sifu at a martial arts school is an interesting twist. Player deaths play a key role in the gameplay as the player ages with each death. As the player gets older, they grow stronger, but also more susceptible to damage from enemies. It's an interesting twist on the genre and gives Sifu a style all of its own. So that's all that's been said that I can see.
Could you just clarify? Did they say they were giving DLC free?
Free, yes.
Well, okay. Then this kind of twists my view in that regards. Then I'm going to be a little bit bullshit. I don't see what people are complaining about. If you've got what it sounds like a very small development team, indie development team, and they're going to be giving you free content as well, sounds like they hyper focused on the best experience they could get within those 5 levels, and then to give free content from an indie developer from a small team.
Yeah. I don't see the problem with the game. From what I've watched, it looks fine. It's just not, Kung Fu isn't my thing. So I'm not knocking the game. From what people said, I can understand why they think it's small, but I don't think they're going to breeze through it like Indie Gamer says. I think from what I've seen people stream it, it's pretty difficult. And so I think that and if they're going to get free DLC, I think, what the hell are you complaining about for £33?
Exactly, yeah. Especially from a small indie developer team, that is, I mean, if that doesn't give you garner goodwill towards that team, because they even said it, they're a very small team, they've hyper-focused on what they could try to get the best experience possible, but they are looking to expand further. You've just spent £33 for something that's probably going to grow, and we don't know how much it's going to and continue further down the line. You know, it's not as if it's a fly-by-night game that's just been thrown together quickly to try and be a cash grab, from what I can tell.
I think I want to go with Miss Lupa's opening salvo at the beginning of the show. Right, she said something along the lines of try games, find something you love and enjoy it, and if you can share that love with someone else, you know, you'll be all the richer for it. I don't know who's criticizing the game exactly. It seems like it's a game that's only just come out, and I think to the developers said when looking at the statement that Miss Lupa's read out, it's like, look, it's so early, you know, to give a reaction in terms of exactly what we're going to do, because we haven't even actually gone or sifted through all the feedback we're going to get over the next sort of several days, and that in itself will, and obviously they'll get their first week sales or first 14-day sales. I think it's 7 or 14 days for a first game's release, and then it goes to a monthly, then a quarterly basis when you get your updates from Sony or Microsoft or whatever. So I think they're keeping their counsel, which, as you were saying, they're a small team. They're going to have to do that, right? They have to play it smart. I think the price point, it's I can't remember what it was over. I think it's like $40 over here, which is I don't buy enough games to sort of tell you whether have they been advised correctly in terms of the type of game it is, given the competitors that it's got out there. I can't remember what Hades was when it first came out, but should it have it's kind of like in the middle of no man's land from where I'm sitting, and I could be completely wrong on this, so correct me, that they're sitting in no man's land between the high end of what an indie game should cost and sort of creeping towards what a full price game is, and maybe that is what's upsetting people. But I don't know who's criticizing the game, and that's a really big issue, right? And the problem is that that we live in an age where people can suffer very, very quickly based on which way the public's sort of being swayed, right? Whether it's with anger, frustration, desire, division, the game is not quite what you expected, and the problem is with all of these things, all it seems to do is just sort of tires out and destroys the brain, right? It starts to disintegrate it. But for me, it's a case of, if you want a measured opinion, send a review copy to RemovableSanity. I've heard he's a pretty and he's open in fair game to offering a reasonable and thoughtful opinion, and it doesn't encapsulate anything
or
like
indie
frustration or personal desire or neuroticism. Because if you read most of the tweets on Twitter, right, if that's where the criticism's coming from, it doesn't matter whether they're pleasant tweets or unpleasant tweets, but they all carry a level of neurotic behavior, right? It's sort of woven in or into the fabric of what everyone is saying. And for me, it's I'm actually serious. I should send you a copy removable, right, to have a look at. And it just reminded me of something I read a little while ago in a book or something. I can't remember where it was. I might have been online, but critics are never remembered nor discussed, right? And it was something along the lines of, you'll have statues and portraits of great authors, poets, and artists, and Miss Lupa probably, but you'll never ever see one of a critic, right? And critics are more often than anything else, for me, since I started doing podcasting and having to read reviews or stuff like that, if Boom would send something or StubzSam will DM something, not that he DMs of anything of any real purpose. Just kidding. But most critics, nothing.
That's mostly true.
Even the video, unless it's to do with Boris Johnson. And anyway, I think most critics that you'll find, right, even video game, people that review video games for a living, they're nothing more than parasites, right? In my opinion, I might be being a bit harsh here, but
not at all.
And the thing is, the question becomes why? Simply because they base all of their work on somebody else's life's work. And the thing is, we talk about so often on this channel about indie developers and sacrifices they make. There's documentaries about it as well, right? So I think that sometimes, when you're going to give an opinion, you've really got to sort of give it some consideration. And I think that interview or a press release or that Miss Lupa read out kind of shows you that the developer is keeping its counsel, and the next decision that they make is got to be, a financially important one for them, right? To either continue exactly what they're doing or decide what they're going to do next.
I think they should stick to the guns. It's a great mechanic. The aging mechanic is very different. And I think if they need to follow through with their vision, I mean, there's so many bitter people on Twitter. I'm saying I'm not a fan of Kung Fu games. Doesn't mean to say the game is bad, but this is their perception. They don't like it, so it's bad. That's rubbish. Play what you want, where you want, and enjoy it and have fun.
I'll just add in here. I've just been looking this game up, and apparently, this game will be coming to the Xbox. It's a timed PlayStation.
Oh yeah, it's
fantastic!
Exclusive. Of course
I
it
didn't
is.
know that.
Did you not? Oh dear.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I
didn't
knew
know.
that because I was waiting to see. Obviously, I'm not going to buy it on PS. I mean, it's double the price of PC. But I should imagine, hopefully, I have no problem with paying a price like £33 for a game I enjoy. But I'm not sure that I'm going to enjoy that game because I'm not a fan of Kung Fu and martial arts. So
I think Sorry, Miss Lupa. I was going to say, I just get this funny feeling. A lot of people saw the trailers. A lot of people, I didn't see roguelike anyone. I just think that people probably just thought it was going to be, a modern day Double Dragon or a bad dudes versus Dragon Ninja.
I don't believe they actually put the rogue. People understood that bit. It's the same with Returnal. Everyone acts shocked, but Returnal, they actually said it was a roguelike, and the people still ignored that one. They then complained.
Stubbs thought it was a sequel to Chase HQ.
No, I completely understand where you're coming from, BJ, because that seems to be the case for me. They didn't put that they haven't mentioned it's a roguelike, but it is in a lot of ways. But I think that it's more about it's not what they expected, so it's bad. And that's ridiculous. And it just dents the developers imaginations, and it makes them not want to put stuff out there that's different because people are just
I'll give them their view from what the statement that you read out. I'm already liking the sound of the actual developers. For a developer, a small team, to be saying we're going to be creating content which you'll be getting for free.
Yeah.
And that is a lot of time for for a small dev to put in that isn't going to be getting out of it except for goodwill or positive. And even that is, don't get me wrong, that is sorely needed when it comes goodwill and PR is definitely sorely needed when it comes to an indie developer. But to say you're going to be putting in time and hours to give free content as a very small indie developer, that's not something that's often said. And so already I'm like, it's a huge commitment to say to that.
But you could play devil's advocate though, Removable, and say, well, the main game is short, and that's where they're adding the DLC. Is actually it's a longer game, but they're adding the DLC to make it longer and make it seem like it's good. Good PR. Yeah,
you can go through the PR aspect. Yeah, you have to go from the other point of view, and simply say, did they get it out quickly and said they'll finish it off later on down the line.
Yeah.
The other way you can look at that is financially they needed more money to be able to add more to the game. So let's get out the base version now. Let's get out the base version now and tell them they're getting the add-on stuff later for free.
And that is viable. But again, for me, I think it's still, as an indie developer, very small from sounds of it. It's
Can I interject there, Removable, with something Indie said?
Yeah, I just
most indie developers do provide free DLC as it's always in the plan usually. But he's put a comment here, and he's right. For some of the Twitter noise, lots of people are judging it just because it's not on their platform of choice.
Yep.
That's the worst of all. You've got an indie developer trying to make a name for themselves, and some of these idiots care about it's a console wars. It's a damn shame. It really is.
Absolutely.
But it's reviewed
you have
well,
to ignore that.
See.
Yeah,
Exactly.
From what I've seen, it's reviewed well, and you have to ignore that kind of rubbish because who's saying it are all about winding up the console wars.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't indulge in that sort of rubbish.
Yeah. Interestingly, I paid no attention to this game, not because I wasn't interested, but because everything I saw said it was a Sony game. So it wasn't that I wasn't interested. I just knew that I don't play on a PlayStation currently, So
I knew it was coming to Xbox. It was a timed exclusive.
Well, I didn't know that at the time, not based by the stuff I saw. Everything I saw had Sony branding on it, which isn't a bad thing. It's just that's why I wasn't interested in it.
Yeah, because you don't have a PS5 or PS4, so that's obvious. But you're not then going to go on to Twitter and slag it off because it's on a different platform.
No,
that's the point. They're just so vitriol and so damn evil. It's like, look, you're destroying a company, a small dev team, because it's not on your platform. Oh, get a life, really.
Welcome to Shizno Elite. Thanks for popping in, mate. I'll do a few more shots, see if we've got any more people in.
Oh, Shizno Elite. Okay, you don't want to know what I thought you said.
Oh, right. Shizno Elite. Back from the dead, Doom Reaper. Thanks for popping in. Matt Barnes. Thanks for popping in. Yeah, I think I've caught up now. Hollow Knight's DLC was also free as well, Indy said.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I think they would classify those. I think you're when we're talking about your 1, 2, 3 person teams here, which is what I'm gauging from the statement. It sounds like, you know, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I hasn't been from the games. At least I've seen, it doesn't seem to be the norm because generally they can't afford to. It's one of those things. You know, they have to wait for the funds to come in before they can move on to it, and it's 9 times out of 10 it's depending on sales and the how well it's received, whether or not anything will be added. And that's what again, that's what slightly worries me, is this attacking aspect to it. Is, you know, this isn't going to benefit anybody by attacking this developer, you know, especially if they are as small as they sound.
It's just about the platform thing. Sorry,
the medium. I believe the medium was advertised as an exclusive, and I believe the medium was also attacked because I got attacked on Twitter when I said it was a timed exclusive.
Yeah.
And they were going, "Oh, well, prove it." I said, "I can't prove it because Xbox has put it down as an exclusive." But I said, if you follow the company's history, all their games have got a time-limited window with Xbox, and then they drop it onto the PlayStation platform. Yep. Well, in the end, I was right, but like Shizno Elite is right. You do get the same crap that happens on Xbox too. You know, with the indie.
You have it with every box, even Switch. You get it. Mm-hmm. It's like it's inherently down in them deep, and you can't extract it. It's like there is no rhyme and reason to it. It's like having a football team. It's a badge on your chest, and you've got to support them via any way you can. And it's just pathetic. At the end of the day, it's a human.
For me, I think it hits harder with the indies because it can be such a make or break aspect to them. Yeah. With the bigger developers, they can weather it better. They have PR teams who can kind of buffer that from, you know, hitting the developer directly. With the indie games, I just think it's you could be speaking, you know, it could be 1,000 people speaking directly to the developer. Yeah. You know, and that could be a real impact. And then in my head, just like you've just knocked out, and if it goes wrong, say it forever, it puts them off. That means that developer won't be making any more games anymore, and that's the last thing anyone wants. Is really don't want anything. You want to try and encourage developers, even if they put out a bad game. And I have played some bad games. I still want them to be around. It's okay. You didn't make it great on this one. Oh no, you do better next time. Keep going.
You just have to give them productive feedback rather than attack them. That's my opinion. That's always been my opinion.
And I was going to say, Removable, that there's examples of countless developers that have produced, let's just say, the game they didn't want to produce, and that have gone on to produce fantastic games. So, but if you don't incubate those developers, if you don't support those developers, if you're not a vision holder that or a good producer that can spot what the team's potential is, a lot of bad teams get a lot of money to make poor games, and a lot of good teams just sometimes the producer doesn't want to stick their neck out, even though they know it in their bones, because it's you're defined by the games you produce in terms of do you keep your job, and there's a lot of those sort of politics that go on, right? So as I say, there's numerous developers out there. I can think of a couple right now that have made decent games or average games, and then and either with the same publisher or a different publisher went on to produce something fantastic. You got to learn your trade or apply it, etc. And I think that I don't know how many games this developer's made before, but just in general, though, I'm with you that you've got to be able to read between the lines, right? And as I say, with that press release, you can see they at least know how to handle themselves in public.
Or maybe they don't want to, but they got some guy leaning over their shoulder and going, "No, you can't tell them to saw it off. You have to be more political."
Yeah, it was like when again, I've been back to when the medium was a timed exclusive on the Xbox. Loads of people were attacking the company that made the medium, because they didn't have a physical release medium game, and they were saying, "Well, if this is an Xbox exclusive, Xbox should have funded it." And they were getting a lot. Some people are giving up just for a physical release, and they don't do physical releases. That developer, they just don't.
And just to sorry, go ahead, Stubbs.
But that's my point. Producing physical discs for a company like that could have put them under.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I think just to Paul's point, I agree with you, Paul. Right? It's you can't tell people to start off, but I think developers have got to be wiser here, right? Because how can you get into a debate with the gaming population, right, where a lot of them are kind of immature, right, and they have this sort of like they can't set themselves free. Majority of gamers can't set themselves free of being right or having that desire for power, right? Because that's where they channel their energy. If you look at it, right, if you have energy, right, and when something either sort of engages your imagination, you're having fun, right, and so on and so forth, then suddenly someone treads on your sensibilities, ideals, and beliefs, and irritate you, right, and you seem to have like plenty of energy, right, for those challenges. But when it comes to sort of having a different perception or articulating a new perception, people just don't want to be thoughtful, right? And you can see it more and more, right? The only thing smart about people is their phone, right? And if you look at the society, we're supposed to be getting weather with technological advancements. I'd say that we were a better people, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago, right? And
absolutely.
And you can
there's a reason for that.
Selfish these days.
Is it because I was born?
No, I would say it's that face-to-face interaction.
Yeah,
I think it's a very big face-to-face interaction aspect. If people realise that, especially for a solo, for an individual or small dev,
back on your agenda again. I can see that now. I can see through your play there. Sorry, go ahead.
But I could say, if they realised, do you know what? If they spoke how they spoke on the internet in front of a person, well, they wouldn't. Let's face it, they wouldn't do.
No,
if you spoke the way they spoke and realised that it could be just two people, they'd probably very quickly change their tune.
People
but because
today
it's the
don't
internet,
understand conversation. They attack. They don't know how to have a conversation anymore.
Well, if they enjoy attacking, they don't play this new game called Sifu.
This is it. It should be about a discussion, your opinion, their opinion, and if you don't agree to disagree. The thing is, they don't do that. They just want to be right all the time.
It's a tribalism, and unfortunately, it's something that, as a younger generation, you get very quickly taught that life doesn't work that way. But online, you don't get that education. Online, you can very easily just keep in that mindset. If you said something like that in real life, you're very quickly told, very quickly put into your place that there is consequences.
Online, you used to be taught that. You're not anymore. You've got to understand that's changed. People do not teach their kids proper manners anymore or how to behave.
Well, I think it will get better. It will get. Yeah, we will get better. Remember, we are in a situation where a lot of children and a lot of youngsters know more about technology than their parents. That's always been the case. But we, as a generation, I'd say myself and VJ, Lupa, you're way too young. You're probably a lot younger than us. So I'd say,
I'm the grandmother of all of you. I'm 62 years old.
Exactly, you're way too young. I would say is once you know, 2 years young, exactly. I think we will be teaching the younger generations better results and hopefully better understanding of how to move forward. I think it's just I think there's been a generation or two gap at this new technology. How does this actually work, and what is the best way of going about it? And I'm hoping that'll get better.
the thing is, Removal, I think you hit on a point there that people with their phones, right? It's a far more of an educational tool that people would prefer to go to than speak to their parents or their peers, right? They respect their phones better. So the thing is, when you look at a phone, when you go to social media, what's on there? There's division and there's conflict. Even on a, let's just say, even on a very subtle level, right? And if your mind, and you're not even aware that this is going on, but if your mind's conflicted, even on a subtle level, there can't be any understanding. I know it sounds like kind of sort of a bit out there, but I think there's an element of truth to it. And I think to Miss Lupa, it's not just that we don't teach kids manners. We actually don't educate people on how to use this thing that's inside their cranium.
Well, it's into the joke meme, but it's true. You know, when the internet was first starting, we were all like, "Oh, great! All the information's going to be out there, and everybody's going to understand." And look at what the hell we got.
You've got Twitter.
It was seen as the best education tool. Go on.
You say that children know more tech than the parents. Some do. Some parents are highly technical and do know the tech.
Oh no, but what I'm saying is the way I look is that generally, whilst they may understand the technology better, they don't necessarily have the education to utilize it better. So the respect, understanding that sometimes you just will not agree with someone, and it's okay with that. That aspect hasn't been filtered through.
Yeah,
but they may understand the software, but not how to utilize that aspect of it.
For me, critical thinking has become a lost art.
It's morals.
They see it on the internet and they go, "Oh, it must be true. It's on the internet." Seriously.
I think it's a bit of both between. I think it's critical thinking and morals. I think it's a little bit of both. Yeah. But at the same time, we're a little bit guilty ourselves. What's the first thing we look at when we get out of bed?
Some newspaper.
Yeah,
I can guarantee you ain't.
I would have a cup of tea.
I would say probably VJ and Lupa don't look at their phones first thing in the morning.
No, I do not.
I do not have a phone.
I own a phone.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
I own a phone, but it's just not. It's not attached to my hand like my children's are.
No. Yeah,
I can tell you now that's the majority of people.
Sorry, Rube, I thought she was going to say it's not attached to her hand like her.
I will say one thing. It will change in the UK because although people can say what they like online, the old government's passing these laws that if someone feels like someone's gone too far abusing somebody, they're bringing in sentences for people. They're send people to prison soon.
Well, that's because again, they're trying to. What's the old phrase? They're trying to close the gate after the horse has bolted. Instead of educating people in terms of actually, this is how you are respectful. This is how you speak. Remember, there is another person at the other end of this. They may not necessarily be, feeling great at the same time. There may be different aspects. They may be just gits at the end of it. They instead of going through that education process, they're looking at it as like, well, how can we just stop it? Well, let's use a hammer because that always works.
But they can't removable because the phones are in the hands of the children way too young, 5, 6 years old.
Exactly, and this is where the
problem. They don't understand, so and it's like a nanny thing where you used to sit your children in front of the TV to nanny them. Now it's give them a phone that'll keep them quiet. Well, at 5, 6 years old, they don't understand what they're doing and how they're using it, and it's just to me, it's way. It's like it should be like drinking. You can't have one till you're 18 or 21, preferably 21. But
we all know very well that as much as we'd like to put that in, that's
I think.
What happens? What happens?
I'm just saying they're way too young to understand. Even if you did sit down and explain to them, they're way too. I mean, the times I've had discussions when my children were younger. No, you're not having one. Absolutely not. Yeah, but it will keep me safe. No, it won't. It will not keep you safe. I'll keep you safe. So I didn't let them have phones until they were late teenagers, like 16ish. I think I put a date on 16.
Well, my kids ain't got any phones. Mine's 7 and 3, but
I know a lot of those stubs that put phones in the hands of their kids at 5 and 6, even younger. Well, I know one child that had one at 4.
I mean, they watch YouTube on my phone, but I don't give them a phone.
No, but
got
some
tablets,
of the
though,
parents have
but-
come to the mindset of, well, how am I going to get a hold of my kid, or how my kid's going to get a hold of me? One, you should know where they're at. Two, there's probably a phone where they're at, or somebody has a phone.
Trust me, these days you can get yourself a phone that just does one thing, and that's calls.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
But that
But,
comes down to
parental
the
controls, and
yeah.
you need
Part of
to
that
put
comes
them in
down to
place.
the parents understanding the parental controls and such, and that's where
Yeah.
that comes in again.
yeah,
You-
and again, it's a little bit of an education thing. I think it will get better. I think we are just the technology has jumped to an extent so
Right.
quickly that we're just trying to catch up with it.
Well,
I
and
also
again,
think
maybe
that-
I'm being hopeful, but
Removable. The problem is, right, you've got the phone, right, which is, as I say, far more intelligent than these youngsters, right? And the thing is with these youngsters today, right, no matter who you speak to, ask them what they want, they're filled with desire, right? And the problem is that most of them, when you put desire coupled with intelligence, right, and as Paul put it, right, I think he made a really key point there, and I think he was mentioning something along the lines of, no time, right? No quality of mind, right? And people making sort of like, what's the best way to put it? Like superficial inquiries, right? And they're not able to observe without judgment, right? They just react. It's actually quite thoughtless, right? And the problem, and the other problem that you have people like, we're talking about these console wars, right? You basically, even if you do it in a subtle way, and I'm guilty of it sometimes, and I don't even realize I'm doing it, right? That's the level of conditioning that we're out of this generation, right? Is that you're always cunningly, right, stringing words together or coupling words together, right? And kind of contriving in a superficial way, right, to gain support from people that you don't even know. And that's the level of ludicrousy. I don't know if that's a word or not, but that's the kind of damage that we're doing, right, to our human psyche, right? And just teaching people that clarity of thought.
I think that's been around for a while, though. That's been a tribalism, as I gauge it as tribalism.
You know what? Remember, that's probably because I haven't got a phone, and that's why I'm oblivious to all this, right? So that's why I'm maybe behind everybody, right?
Well, no, but
and last week I said I worked for the MI5. It wasn't MI5, it was the MFI. I keep getting that wrong.
Yes, we do.
That's what MI5 told you to say.
Yeah.
Removable. The thing is,
Yeah.
like, you get taught all this stuff in school that's basically the same stuff you've been being taught for hundreds of years. And I think that time has moved on. And I believe in schools there should be lessons about mobile phones and the internet and stuff, and also lessons on law. And then we might be able to bring our kids up in a better fashion.
Well, look at it this way. I was there. When the internet was born. You weren't taught it. You weren't given any indication. You was taught the software. You made a little bit of coding, but you weren't actually taught the aspects to it. Because at the end of the day, back then, it was seen as 100% as an education tool. It was this big promise that it will develop your brain into untold areas. At no point did it fathom that it would turn into memes, cat videos, and being a twat online. It was always deemed as almost a database system which you could just download and be a better person for it. They never actually understood that aspect. And again, I think this slightly feeds into the tribalism aspect, because I think a bit like sports, there's always one against another. There is always going to be a little bit of a battle. Same thing with other aspects that are always very tribalistic. And phones, gaming, films, food, everything has this very tribalistic aspect. And I think that's core of the human.
That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
But removable. The problem is, right, that the reason why we're having this discussion, right, is that, okay, if you look at it like this, you're talking about education in school, right? The thing is, right, is that first of all, if you're given a phone to use, right, first of all, your parents should tell you, look, no, it doesn't matter what you read, the knowledge facts are always limited, but you've got this gap, right, between someone, you talk to people like they're your friends or you're like your family, always try to be fair and equitable, and then you've got the other extreme, right, where a lot of people, right, like you said, behind their keyboards, because they probably wouldn't do it in person, but they let their own true persona out, where they're sort of ranting and raving and splattering sort of ugliness everywhere, right? And it's heavily weighted in that area. So there's obviously something going wrong somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm not saying. When social media became a thing, a massive thing, that's when there should have been lessons in school to teach you how and the best way to use social media. to be a
Yeah,
decent
because
person.
now with kids, you say the wrong thing online, a kid's future can be destroyed
Hmm.
by something
I
that's online.
yeah, but again, that's the closing the barn, after the horse is bolted sort of aspect to it. I think.
No, I mean kids
I,
growing up now.
Well,
can
if you
still
don't
do the
start
same
somewhere,
thing.
where do you start removable?
Oh no, I agree. Now I think what we're in a better understanding of the social applications now than we were back then,
Yeah,
because
we
we
are
were
as adults.
naive. Yeah, we were naive to believe that it was actually the internet, social media it wasn't seen as a bad thing. It was seen as something that's going to be amazing. That's going to connect you and your families together, and it'll be this lovely picturesque fantasy. We didn't, in our heads, I don't think we appreciated the dark side of humanity. If anything, it has educated us to maybe a darker aspect that's within the actual human psyche.
Well, what's
But
sad is
now-
for us old people who predate the internet, they should have seen this coming because we had bulletin board services and it was just the same. It was just on a smaller scale, and usually local, where you knew where that loudmouth asshole was coming from, and you could find him, punch him in the face. Seriously, I mean, because they were bulletin board
Yeah.
services were local, but it
But
was
come on, Cerebral. The most smartest people may not always be the best at working out the best social cues and trying to resolve those social cues.
No, but I'm saying that we knew that those issues have been there since even the early days of being able to contact each other online. Even
Without a doubt. But I mean,
predating the internet.
Again, I think it was one of those. How did you resolve it? Even now, if we're struggling to find how to resolve it, apart from education, and turning off,
and just raising better people. I mean,
I was just going to say there's that Paul's word, right? Diametrically opposed, because you could probably do that in Texas, right, and go and thump someone in the face for being an idiot. But over here in California, they're probably hang, draw, and quarter you.
Yeah, California.
And in the UK, they usually turn around and walk the other way.
Yeah. California is one of the few states where you can rob somebody, fall down, break your leg, and then sue the homeowner.
It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And it's
we have something similar in the UK. Trust me.
I don't want to get into it, but I think, goodness, I forgot what I was going to say now. But I think it boils down to parents, and I think more so than anything, who sets the educational curriculum? It's the state, right? And the problem is that I don't see any classes, right, or anything on the curriculum today, right, where it teaches people like how to respect one another. What does discipline actually mean? What does humility mean? They'll mention the words perhaps, right, but they won't go into a deep investigation in terms of what those words actually mean and how to live a more fulfilling life, given that everything that is going on in and around you in a far more stressful world than it was 20 or 30 or 40 years ago.
Well, that used to be university's job, isn't it? That's where the debates, the education,
drugs.
Well, generally that was the case, yeah. But I mean, it was generally that was seen, debates on how to talk to each other, the battle of ideas. That was often where it was, at least in the UK, it was often prompted. That's where you discuss such amazing ideas, debates with your peers, and become a better person. I think that's probably failed drastically now. For some reason, I don't know why, but it seems debate isn't really looked upon favourably at the moment. At least in the UK, it isn't.
Well, whatever the CDC says goes, eh?
We had to go down that path.
Love Stubbs and his conspiracy theories. They're amazing.
But I think the art of conversation and the art of debate has been slightly misplaced, and we can't look at this state or the government to educate the children, the next generation, to do that. I think it's up to us as individuals, and it's up to us.
In both of our countries, it's the government that's causing a lot of the problems with the debate and discussion.
It is.
Without a doubt, I'm not going to say it isn't, but we still have a responsibility. We can't just go, the government's dealing with it, therefore we shouldn't do anything about it.
Well, no,
I still believe it.
But that's my problem. Is they're not dealing with it. They're not dealing with it.
That's it. It's been a good show. That was a very good topic. That was. It was. Yeah. That was a very good topic. We covered a lot of the indie games, and there were some very good comments on the indies with regards to Sifu and the whole situation on that. And it was quite a good chat on indie games. We got to social media. I don't know how. I can't remember. That was also a good chat. It was. It's a fun chat. I like.
We can resolve the world here.
We can. Not.
We could put our tuppence worth in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. But yeah, it was good to have you on again at AssassinLupa. Thanks for popping on. I know it has been a while. It has.
Yes. I thought you'd gone off me, mate.
No. Well, I had a hiatus for Midweek Gaming like in October.
I know. I know. Yeah. I'm glad to see you back.
Yeah, it's all good. I just had a bit of a break from doing it.
Well, sometimes you just have to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if the shows go like this.
Well, people seem to like it when we go randomly off. But we have been hit by like Nintendo Direct, etc. tonight. But a lot of people listen after. I put it on Spotify feeds as well, Apple Podcasts, and people do listen on them feeds as well. So it's not all. It's not all just YouTube.
Hello to you.
Anyway, Animated Eve, I've not heard from you in a while. You okay?
Yeah, I'm still alive. I was just staying out with that topic and letting you, letting you guys go at it. I was just happily listening. That's fine.
You had last week's. Now it's our turn.
That's fine. It's all good. It's all good.
Oh, you missed that. You missed that. You missed that, Lupa. You did last week. You missed that. The duel of animated versus VJ.
Yes, I did catch it on playback, but at the time I wasn't with it, so I couldn't catch it live. Sorry about that.
Never worry about that.
It was exciting. It was fun.
Mm.
We'll have to get on to Minecraft Dungeons now.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds good.
It's a really good game, actually. It's interesting.
So thanks for coming on, Lupa. It's been really good to have you on, and we'll get you back on soon. It won't be as long as last time. Don't worry.
It's okay. Whenever you would like, I'm up for it. Yeah. I love to chat with my fellow countrymen.
Hey.
Oh,
Sorry, Paul. Well, you're on most of the British podcasts, so class you as one of us now. You're a surrogate.
Honorary Brit.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell Lupa? Do you want to tell people they can find you on Mav's podcast and stuff like that?
Okay. You can find me AssassinLupa at Xbox Ultimate on Friday nights, Saturday mornings in the UK, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. UK time, and also at AssassinLupa on Xbox Live and Twitter. You're welcome to come discuss decent topics with me. Ooh, and play some games, because that's what I do mostly. Play games and have fun.
Very true. Thanks for coming on. It's been a fun one tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
We only did the 3 topics tonight. We never got to anything else, but it was a fun chat. It was.
No. But yeah, it was fun. It was a good discussion, and it all needs saying sometimes.
It does. Cerebral Paul, thanks for coming on. It's been nice.
Always fun, always exciting, always a good discussion. And
we try.
Let's see. You can find me on Twitter at CerebralPaul1. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube streaming quite often. And let's see what else. Let's see. Tuesdays you can find me on Retro Renegades. Of course, you can find me every Wednesday here. Thursdays you can find me on 4GQ TV. Sundays you can find me on Good Morning Xbox on Noob Nukem's channel. And sometimes with the Flemish Experience, and Friday and Saturday with what's it called? Community Game Night. with Alan, Mr. Tushy, and Noof and Denitro, depending on what game's being played and how healthy I'm feeling that night a lot of times lately. So come check me out. The biggest thing, just follow me on Twitter, CerebralPaul1, and that'll give you the best idea of what I'm up to on any given day.
Thanks for coming on, Paul.
Yep.
VJ, thanks for coming on. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Mr. Stubbs. I really appreciate it, and I just want to say thanks to Miss Lupa for coming onto the show. Hopefully, she'll be able to present it next week, and you can take a week off, Stubbs.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. No, but,
Luke Steele's on next week.
Oh, blimey. That'll be interesting. And yeah, thanks for having me on, and see you same time, same place next week.
Yeah. And Removable Sanity, thanks for coming on.
No, thank you for having me on again. Thanks to having Lupa on again. Definitely want to get her back on here again so we can have a bigger powwow. Have missed her, I must admit. As for me, I keep forgetting where I am, to be honest. As for me, you can find me on YouTube, Twitter, Minds, and Xbox under the name RemovableSanity.
Thanks for coming on. And I've purposely left Animated Evil before I'm going to say that on Friday night, 10 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. EST, I have the pleasure of having Animated Evil on the StubzCast, the Content Creator Hub podcast. That'll be fun, won't it, Animated? I'm sure it
will be absolutely fantastic. Yeah, thanks for the invite for that, and thanks for having me today.
It's good.
The best place to find me is, I'm trying to think, animated_evil on Twitter, because I've got 2 accounts. Obviously on Twitch, I am animatedevil857. You can find me most places that Cerebral Paul hangs out. Yeah. Where can we find you, Stubbs?
On this channel, so pre-subscribe if you're not. And on Twitter as well. But yeah, thanks for coming out, everyone. Dreadpool, I see you there. Thanks for coming on in chat. I think I may have missed everyone. Retro Nerd as well, if you're still there. But thanks for everyone popping in today. Indie Gamer, Shizno Elite. There's been loads there, loads of conversation. Thanks for coming, everyone. It's been fun. It has. If you're on Spotify, please, if you feel like we deserve a 5-star review, a Spotify podcast now does reviews. Please drop a 5-star review. Same on Apple Podcasts. If you feel dropping a review, that'd be great. But thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place. Bye. See ya.
It's nice.
Casual gaming.
Bye-bye.